Channel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up here in week 2 of this 2021 college football season. And it's going to be over the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Iowa State Cyclones. Big rivalry matchup coming up here in week 2. We got two teams who are currently fringe national contenders. You got Iowa on one side. This team had a huge blowout win over a pretty good Indiana team this past week. So they are looking very good heading into this matchup. And you got Iowa State on the other side. This is a team that should be a national contender this season. I mean, with Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, you got a great coach in Matt Campbell. Iowa State is definitely a team that should be a national contender this season. And even though they kind of had a slow game in week 1, this team I still do believe to potentially be a big contender, at least in the Big 12. So you got two very good football teams going head-to-head here in week 2, and it's going to be going down in Ames. So today, we're going to go over a full preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with the team trends for both Iowa and Iowa State. So Iowa last week beat the 17th ranked team in the nation easily. 34-6 was the final score. So Iowa won it by 4 touchdowns. I mean, Indiana did not stand a chance. And really the Hoosiers just did have, I mean, they just had a terrible game all around. Michael Penix did not look like himself. But, I mean, that's also because of Iowa's stellar defense. The defensive side was outstanding for Iowa this past week. I mean, Indiana's got a pretty good offense, which offensively, that's what Indiana's known for. So Iowa completely shut them down. Overall, great win for the Hawks. They're 1-0 with a 1-game winning streak heading into this matchup. Iowa State beat Northern Iowa 16-10. That was a very close game and did not, I mean, Iowa State, I watched some of that game. They just did not look like a very good football team. So I'm kind of concerned for Iowa State right now. They got to really come to play in this game. I mean, you cannot play the same way that you did against Northern Iowa in this matchup against Iowa. I mean, this is a whole different ball game here. Iowa is going to be a tough team, and really, I mean, if Iowa wins this game, that puts them potentially in the top 10. So, I mean, this is a very crucial game for Iowa, but it also is for Iowa State. That's why, I mean, College Game Day is going to this game just because of how impactful of a game it is for both teams. I mean, for Iowa, I mean, a potential top 10 spot is at risk here. And for Iowa State, your Big 12 hopes kind of land on this game here. I mean, if you lose this game, your momentum is shot heading into week 3. So, once again, huge matchup here. It's going to be on Saturday, September 11th, Ames, Iowa. So, Iowa State is the home team, 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Line currently says Iowa State by 4. Over-under is 45. Pretty low over-under for this matchup. ESPN FPI's got the Cyclones 56.7%. So, Iowa State is favored, but only slightly. So that is definitely something to keep in mind here heading into this matchup. Series history, Iowa leads it significantly, 45-22. Win streak is Iowa by 5 in the last 10. Iowa leads it 7-3. So obviously Iowa's had a lot of success in this matchup, but they do have to travel to Ames, which Iowa State, of course, I mean, on a good day, when Iowa State has got their stadium packed, it is a tough environment. And we've seen Oklahoma go in there and have troubles. So, I mean, Iowa, it could be a tough one there too. But, I mean, I expect the stands are just going to be packed for this game. It's definitely going to be a sellout. I mean, it's in the state of Iowa. College Game Day is going to this game. It's going to be quite an environment in Ames this upcoming weekend. I mean, it's going to be insane. And there's going to be a war for Iowa, I can guarantee you, on Saturday afternoon. And it's going to be a fun matchup between both of these teams. But here's your stat comparison. These are just your 2021 current stats. So these are the stats from last week. Iowa had 34 points. They had 6 points allowed, 145 pass yards, 158 rush yards. So really, the quarterback position does kind of concern me for Iowa. Spencer Petras did not look very good last week for Iowa. Overall, the rushing game was pretty good. Goodson in there. But overall for Iowa, I mean, this is a team that they need to be able to throw the ball if you're going to be a Big Ten contender. So that's got to improve. But overall, once again, they had no problems against Indiana. Yards allowed, 156 passing, 77 rushing. As for Iowa State, 16 points last week, 10 points allowed, 199 pass yards, 136 rush yards. I mean, once again, with Iowa State, they've got potentially one of the best running backs in the nation, Breece Hall. Didn't get much going last week, but Breece Hall definitely needs to have a big game here against Iowa. He is definitely a big weapon for Iowa State. Breece Hall, if you look at his stats from last season, he was all over the field. He was outstanding. His stats were stellar. So do be on the lookout for Iowa State in that position. But Brock Purdy, I mean, he's another reason why Iowa State, I mean, this is a big season for them because of Brock Purdy. And once again, there are all the keys to success for Iowa State here. They just cannot lose this matchup. They had 230 pass yards allowed, only 45 rush yards allowed last week. Some key points for this one: both teams are 1-0. The Hawkeyes played a solid game last week against Indiana for sure. I mean, once again, they got on top of Indiana, did not look back. Iowa had a very fast start in that matchup, and I think if they do the same thing against Iowa State, get a couple of touchdowns on the board before Iowa State does, I think Iowa's in a very good position here. But they do jump into the top 10 with a win in this game. Like, I've got them ranked, I think, 13th. My rankings just came out today. I've got Iowa at 13, and I think I've got Iowa State at 9. So, once again, pretty close matchup. Definitely in the top 15 for both these teams. But Iowa, they've got a ton of potential. I mean, Spencer Petras is still a young quarterback, so he still has room to improve. But, I mean, Spencer Petras did not look very good last week, so he does need to play much better in this matchup. But Iowa State, crucial game to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. I mean, I am talking college football playoff with Iowa State. I mean, and it sounds crazy, but Iowa State, this team, if they can beat Oklahoma and run the table in the Big 12, which is possible, once again, this team has got an outstanding amount of talent on both sides of the ball. And it is within reason to say that this team could win the Big 12. And if they do win the Big 12, that positions them pretty well to potentially be a candidate for the college football playoff. So they've got to win this matchup. This is a very crucial game for both these teams. I mean, and this is a crucial season for Iowa State. Like, you're losing a lot of talent after this 2021 season. So for Iowa State, this is about as good of a season as you're going to get for potentially a while. So do be aware of that. This is a very crucial game for Iowa State fans. Home field advantage in this matchup does go to the Cyclones as well, so that does help you out quite a bit. But now it's time for the prediction. This was a tough game to predict, but I'm going Iowa State. I'm going to go with the Cyclones in this one, 27-24, and trust me, this was not easy. This was not easy to pick. I mean, Iowa, I could see this Iowa team winning just as easily as Iowa State just because of how the Hawkeyes looked last week. But Iowa State being at home, I mean, I think that gives some of it definitely an advantage for Iowa State. And I think that's the main reason why I picked Iowa State here is because of the home field advantage. If Iowa was at home, without a doubt, I'm picking the Hawkeyes. I mean, it comes down to that because of how close of a matchup this is. You got two very good football teams and two teams that could easily win this matchup. I mean, it was, once again, very tough game to predict. So I could easily see both teams winning this game. But probability, Iowa State 55%. So really as close as it gets. If I could put 51%, I would. I mean, once again, this game is pretty much a coin toss for me. It is very tough to pick. I am taking the over in this matchup. So I've got 51 total points, which is 6 points over the 45. So I do think we will go over in this matchup. I mean, under is definitely possible as well. But I do think, I mean, 45 is pretty conservative. So I'd say be comfortable with taking the over in this matchup. I mean, 27-24, I do think is kind of a reasonable score for this matchup. So Iowa State, I do have the Cyclones in this game. But once again, it's going to be very close. I could see either team easily winning this game. And whoever does win this game is definitely going to be in a very good position heading into week 3. I mean, if Iowa State wins it, that potentially puts them in the top 7. If Iowa wins it, puts them in the top 10. So big game here for both these teams. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. And I appreciate you guys all watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.